Phantom Lady and Doll Man #1, written by Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti, art by Kat Staggs. This is a new mini-series about the eponymous Phantom Lady and Doll Man, and this issue opens up with years ago, a couple are being tortured and then burnt alive by some mobster guy who apparently the husband of the couple wrote a scathing story about him, exposing his secrets or whatever. But the mobster got to him beforehand and killed him. But we see that their young daughter was watching all this happen and she made it out alive. Cut to today in Suicide Slum Metropolis. There's some group of drug dealers or something like that making a deal, and they've got a briefcase full of cash, and the narration is from Phantom Lady, obviously, and just goes over her power set, that she's able to use technology to manipulate shadows and light in order to grab people without them even knowing. Like, she can create black fog, she can move through the shadows, she can do whatever. So she's doing that, and she's picking off these gangsters one by one until finally she gets to the last one, and he's like, oh, please let me go, oh, don't hurt me. And she can also drag them into, like, the shadow realm, pretty much, where there's just a void of nothing. I don't know if she just lets them die in there or eventually lets them out, but she drags them in there. But anyway, she gets her hands on the last guy, and she takes the money and lets him go talk to his boss. Says that, let him know that the money's being used for a good cause. So I'm going to cut back 6 months earlier, where we get a breakdown that there's this crime family called, I believe, the Bender family. And Robert Bender was the guy who murdered her parents years ago, because of course that was her. And he's from like a family of serial killers or something, and they basically run all the crime in the city. But recently Robert Bender was killed, seemingly by his own son, I think Cyrus, maybe Eli, I don't know. It's two brothers. And they have some muscle as well, named Frank the Warlock McGraw. So anyway, we're at this club, and they're keeping an eye on who will become Phantom Lady. I don't think she is yet, and her friend. And they are cozying up to him, and he's like, oh, hey, how's it going, babe? Hey, why don't we step outside for a little bit? Both the girls go outside, down to the parking garage, and Jennifer is Phantom Lady's real name. Her friend is basically taken hostage, and Jennifer's forced to watch as they just start, like, bashing her head against a car and, like, breaking her nose. And this is all just a message from Cyrus to say, hey, I know that you're writing about me. I know you're following in your father's footsteps, and you were just pretending to date me in order to, like, do this. But, you know, I kind of like having you around. You're a good piece of arm candy. So let this be a warning to you. You're going to stay in line, and you're not going to write about me anymore. And he's like, okay, I understand. Sorry. So her friend Ginger disappears after that. Meanwhile, Jennifer makes her way to a junkyard where her friend Dane Maxwell lives, and he is apparently some sort of scientist, and he's studying shrinking technology, and he feels like he's very close to a breakthrough. But Jennifer comes in and she's like, hey, I need you to hack this phone. I stole it off of Cyrus, and I need you to get whatever you can. And for some reason, Dane just, like, immediately snaps at her. Just like, I'm not you. You think I'm just going to do whatever because I'm in love with you, and yes, I am in love with you, but that doesn't mean you can treat me so poorly. And she's like, but you love me? And he's like, yeah, all right, I guess I do. Give me the phone. So I don't, like, it's a very dysfunctional relationship right off the bat. But anyway, some time passes. She apparently fell asleep, and when she wakes up, Dane came in and says, hey, so I cracked the phone. There were a bunch of videos and stuff on it. You can't have it. And she's like, what? What do you mean I can't have it? And he's like, it's too dangerous for you. I left a voicemail with Cyrus telling him that he could have his phone back, but I made copies of it, so he better leave you alone. And she's like, you idiot, you absolute moron. They probably traced your call. And lo and behold, they did. They show up at Dane's garage. They immediately shoot Jennifer in the leg, and Dane goes and hides inside of this, I guess, experiment room is the best I could describe it, and closes the door behind him, which is bulletproof. And they're like, oh, well, guess we'll just have to start pressing switches on this circuit board until we see one that fries you. So they start pressing whatever, and suddenly it lights up all of a sudden. And when they look back inside, Dane has seemingly completely disintegrated. All that's left are his clothes. And Jennifer is distraught. She's like, "Oh, you didn't have to kill him. He didn't do anything to you." And just like Cyrus is just like, "Ah, don't worry about it. Hey, I'll see you again soon. We're going out for dinner later, so be ready for that." So then we cut back over to Dane's clothes, which are inside the room, and lo and behold, crawling out of them is now a 6-inch tall Dane, who just goes, "That's great. This is just perfect." And that's where we leave off. So not a whole lot in this issue. It's pretty much just set up right now. I mean, it's only a 4-issue mini, so they're not going to have a lot of time to work with, but I don't think I even know Jennifer's last name. It just seems really surface level right now. It just seems really like, okay, we have to set up not only 2 characters with completely disparate power sets, we also have to set up our villain right now. We have to know everything that's going on. And it's so surface level that I really, like, whatever. Sure, that jump to the future, or I guess this is 6 months prior, so the jump to current day, showing like, oh, look, she has these powers or whatever. That's cool and all, but she doesn't have them in the story that I believe we'll be following narratively. Like, the setup, she doesn't have them. And all we've gotten so far is the villain and a guy has been shrunken. So there's not a lot here. That's not to say it's bad, but there's not a lot here. So overall, I would say this is probably closer to like a 6. Like, it's good, it's okay, but it's not great yet. And art-wise, I would say it's pretty good, but like, there are several panels in here that, like, I don't know. Is Dane supposed to be bipolar? Is he supposed to be? Because he literally just flips. Like, on one page, he's just like, "Oh, hey, you want some pancakes?" And then the very next panel, he's screaming. And he looks so fierce in the panel. I don't know what to make of this yet. So I'm just going to give it a 6 and see what comes up next time.